You won an award for a nutrition award?
Yeah.
What was that?
Yeah, it just kind of, I don't really know what they look at specifically, but I think in the 8 weeks, this past winter, I put on 10 pounds. And obviously like the numbers in the weight room went up, which was good to see. But also I was utilizing a lot of the assets they have nutrition wise. We have a lot of cooking demos where they bring in chefs and you can come in and cook lots of different meats or fish or different stuff like that. So just trying to utilize all that we have. And also I definitely think putting on that weight contributed to that.
All right, everyone. Welcome to Columbia's hottest and fastest growing podcast, here for the health of it. And we are here with Kroeger, who's a punter for the University of South Carolina. Has been for a couple of years, also doing a history major with criminal justice minor. We're excited to have you on here. You're our first U of SC athlete.
Really?
Yep. So tell us how you got into this.
So I guess maybe football and punting as a whole. I started playing in third grade. That's kind of when I realized it was between that and basketball at the time. Then kind of as I grew up a little bit, I realized that I probably couldn't play basketball at the next level. So I focused on football. I didn't really get into punting specifically.
And you're 6'4" too, for reference.
I am. Yes, sir.
And were you 6'4" back then?
No.
You had a late, Did you have a late growth spurt?
I had always been taller for my age, but never really hit that height where it was like, oh, you should be in the NBA or you're that tall, where it was noticeable. But yeah, I focused on punting really in 7th grade is when I started training for it. And history just kind of wrote itself from there.
Really?
Yeah.
Who's your first coach?
So I started with a guy who played in the NFL. His name was Filipovich. He has kind of
Filipovich?
Philip Filipovich?
Yeah.
Interesting.
What did you call him? Coach Phil?
Yeah, just Coach Phil, whatever. But yeah, so I started with him. He rented out this dome where the Chicago Fire had practiced. So in the winters, we were able to go and kick every week. So we found him online. And
that's where you were. You were in Chicago.
Yep.
And you just hired this coach.
Yeah, he had like a group session.
Got it.
So there'd be maybe 12 of us there. And that's where it started. And I still see him now when I go back home. But yeah, it all started with him.
Wow. That's cool.
So what made you punt the ball, I guess? Like kick.
You had dreams of punting
Did you?
when you were growing up.
And I kind of started playing backyard football with my friends. And sometimes, you just kind of kick the ball around. And I had no form at the time. This would be in like 5th, 6th grade. But I could just kick it a little further than my friends. And then sure enough, they say, maybe you should train with this. Maybe you should see where it goes. So that's when I started training in 7th grade.
Kidding.
Yeah.
So, and then talk us through, like, what does that look like to train? Are you working on stretching? Are you working on strength? Are you just like, I always try to think, most punters, don't they come from like a soccer background?
Usually punters and kickers usually come from a soccer background. For me, stretching has always been a focus. I try to stretch as much as I can. And, for me, it's been hard. I've always kind of been like a leaner body type. So it's been hard for me to put on weight and gain that strength. Even when I got to Carolina, I was about 180 pounds, and now I'm at 220. But I put on 40 pounds, and I'm still leaner, you could say.
Right.
So it's always been a struggle for me. But initially, it's always just been with punting, drill work, and stretching. Just working on the most important thing, I think, is the drop. Most punters will say that. So just making sure you can catch good, spin the ball good. And just making sure you have that steady drop every time. So that would be the things I'd just be working on in my house or whenever I could.
That's what I was kind of wondering. Like, when I was thinking about today, I was like, what does a practice look like for a punter? Like, does the coach just say, go punt the ball?
In college, it's a lot different than in high school. So the high school I went to, I played on offense as well. We kind of had guys playing both ways.
Nice.
So I would just get maybe 5 minutes at the beginning of practice to punt to the returners. So everything I did would be outside of practice at home or when I just went to a field by myself or with some friends. But yeah, it would just be kind of walking down my hallway in my house, just dropping the football.
And just dropping it.
Yeah. My dad wouldn't get too happy. It would get a little loud. But yeah, it was fun. I mean, that's all you can really do. That stretching and any kind of maybe form or mechanical work you can do at your house.
At the college level, how much time does the coach spend with you on any like mechanics and that kind of stuff?
So it's changed a little from my first year because my first year, our special teams coach was also the defensive backs coach. But once we got the new staff, we have now a full-time special teams coordinator, Coach Lembo, and he's with us almost every single period during practice. And we're working on something, like I said, every single period. So maybe one period we're hitting directional punts, then the next we're working on field goals. Then maybe we work on some throwing drills just in case we have the opportunity to run fakes, or maybe specialty kickoffs, like middle dribble kicks, onside kicks, stuff like that, just so we're always on our toes and able to do whatever we can.
Now, do you do that? You're not the kicker as well. Would you be the backup kicker? So you work on stuff like that or no?
If it got down to me, I could do it, but we have probably 4 guys that could kick better than I could. But I could if the opportunity, or if it had to come down to it.
And then is there a backup punter? Who's behind you?
Yeah, there is. We're fortunate enough. We have a lot of combo guys, so guys that kick and punt. So the 2 guys that have been maybe the backups also kick as well. So yeah, versatile guys.
Sweet. How far? Like, do you regularly kick field goals? Just messing around?
If we're not punting that day, then I'll normally mess around and kick field goals a little just to see what I can do. And I try to challenge the kickers.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm obviously not as good as them, but just kind of make some fun with them.
Right.
Yeah, but I try to on the off days.
What's the furthest you've kicked a field goal?
Off the ground, it's been 47. In high school, I got a block, so I hit a 50-yarder, but that doesn't count. So 47 off the ground.
All right,
we knew this story. He's just been trying to lead everything into this one story right here.
You see, I kept building to the length then. So mine was actually off a kickoff tee.
Okay.
But I was at a USC game, and my wife was like, they bring somebody out to kick like a 15-yard field goal or something like that, which from the side looks kind of far. She's like, there's just no way that anybody can make that. And I'm like, I could easily make that. Turned into this whole thing where I was like, all right, we're going to the store tonight. I didn't even have a football. We're buying a football. Mind you, I'm 28 years old. This isn't like I haven't kicked. I was never a kicker. I did play soccer. Going to Walmart's parking lot, I have 2 guys run down just further, and I just had them like hold their hands up, and I booted one. I was like, oh my God.
In the parking lot?
In the parking lot.
Oh, wow. So
then the next day I said, we're going to the field. I went to the field and I just kept moving backwards until I literally set up for a 50-yard field goal off of a kicking tee, and I hit it, and I lost it. And this is at 28 years old, and I got it on film. I think we got to add that in. Bro.
Yeah, I need to see it.
Yeah. So then I started thinking maybe I should maybe I have some eligibility.
That's right. Never too late.
I gotta
maybe put in a good word with your coach for him.
You see these Australian guys coming over. They're in their 30s.
See if he wants me to come by and do any kicking drills with anybody.
Yeah. So when you're planning to punt, I'm picturing back to his practice thing. If I was the coach, I think I would be saying like, all right, I want you to stand here and punt it and land it on the 17-yard line in this hula hoop that I put here. Does he do stuff like that? And can you be that accurate?
Yeah, definitely you can be that accurate. More so, we just kind of pick a general direction. So we have our left and right punt calls. And I'll normally we have a spot. Generally, if you can hit it to the numbers or outside the numbers on the field, that'd be a really good directional punt. So I'll pick a spot out there. He doesn't really mess with specifically where we aim because that's kind of specific to each punter or kicker. But I'll pick a spot out, maybe 40 yards. I don't try to look too far downfield just because mentally I just kind of think I have to hit it harder then. So I'll pick a spot maybe 30, 40 yards downfield at the top of the numbers, and I'll kind of align myself to that spot. And then from there, once you catch a snap, it's kind of muscle memory at that point.
Yeah,
nice.
When my wife started, I grew up playing hockey, but she would watch it, and she didn't watch it at all until she was probably 30. But she would look at it and be like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure those guys, they just hit the puck around and hope it goes somewhere." I'm like, no, it doesn't work like that. You know exactly where it's going every second. And even before they take the shot or pass it, you know exactly where they're going to pass it. But sometimes I don't know if football's like that because there's wind and there's all kinds of variables.
That is the problem with us. We don't have to worry about getting hit or memorizing hundreds of plays, but Mother Nature is our biggest struggle. And we've had a few games that have been pretty windy. So that's when it definitely comes down to making sure everything you do with your hands are perfect. And that's when you can kind of adjust maybe how long you hold onto the ball or how like the height of your drop. But yeah, Mother Nature is always something we're looking at. I mean, we have guys, some of our kickers will pull up like a week in advance. Somehow they have like this weather app that, tells them everything they need to know. But yeah, we like to keep it ahead of the track on that one.
Nice. Does a fake punt scare the crap out of you? Like if they call that, what?
Oh, and you have to hand it off or throw it?
Yeah. What would you prefer? Like fake punt run where you're running it, fake punt pass? And I guess along those lines, how many fakes are there for you?
We haven't done any fake punts where I run with it. We've done a few where I throw, and it's fun when they're completed. Fortunately enough, they've all been completions. But I'm definitely more nervous for running a fake than any sort of punt. But I think now I kind of want to run with the ball. I don't want to get hit. I think that'd be the last option. But maybe I can just run to the outside, gain a few yards, and get out of bounds.
So you're 100% completion though right now.
I am.
Nice. Do you ever get in your quarterback's face?
I joke a little bit with Spencer or some of the other guys. But we do a crossbar challenge before every game. So I like to challenge them to that.
Well, and you're a humble guy because I was looking up your stats. So you're first team All-American. You're top 5 punter in the country right now, right?
Yes.
And so talk us through some of that just statistically for those of us that don't look at punting and stats and stuff. What are the metrics that they base a lot of that stuff on? And like, what are things that you're looking at critically to say, I need to get better in this area?
Yeah. So obviously during the season, I try not to focus too much on the stats. Just, I feel like for me personally, it just kind of throws me off a little bit. But the numbers, the main things they look at is probably inside the 20 punts. And then obviously your average plays into a big part. And then however many touchbacks you have. So this year I had the most punts inside the 20 out of any year I've had. I think it was like just over 50% or something. So that was really good to see. But yeah, averages, I try to, obviously touchbacks aren't good, but those are the big 3 that normally you look at when calculating.
That's what I was wondering. So touchbacks is a negative statistic, essentially. You don't want to have that.
No, it takes away like 20 yards or so.
And then when they count your averages, are they counting them from the line of scrimmage or are they counting them from where you're standing?
No, it's from the line of scrimmage.
Oh, wow.
So you figure add 10 yards and that's how far you'd actually kick it. But
gotcha.
Yeah, they take it.
And then what is your longest punt?
It was 79 yards. It was this past year. Yeah.
Wow. Was that in Carolina?
Yeah.
Who was that against?
Georgia State.
Okay.
I feel like that extra 40 pounds of muscle probably helps on that.
Definitely. And we can notice it now a little bit in spring ball. I definitely feel more composed and more coordinated when it comes to punting and just kind of feeling more intact with my body. Definitely.
What did you do? Walk? Because I know a lot of really tall, skinnier guys who probably need to put in a little muscle.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe walk through what needs
Brett,
to happen for that to happen. Yeah, not Tom. We're talking about Brett.
It's definitely a hard process. So for the winter, our winter workouts go 8 weeks. And so I'm trying to have at least 5 big meals a day and then probably a protein shake in between those and also snacking throughout the day. And something I started doing, which I noticed benefited me a lot, was drinking a lot of water. I started with a gallon of water a day. We had like gallon jugs. So I would just carry around with me and drink it all the time. That kind of got a little unrealistic. So now I just try to grab a bunch of water bottles from the facility. I got a Yeti. My girlfriend got me a Yeti water bottle. So that's been helpful to try to keep the water cold and carry it around with me. But that's drinking a ton of water. And just for me, it's always been just calorie intake. I haven't been on a specific calorie number. It's just kind of been eat as much as you can. Obviously staying healthy. So I'll try to load up on carbs and proteins in the mornings before we work out. And then throughout the day, it's more leaner meats. And just trying to, it's just been a struggle. But
yeah, speaking to that, like I saw you won an award for a nutrition award.
Yeah.
What was that?
Yeah, it just I don't really know what they look at specifically, but I think in the 8 weeks, this past winter, I put on 10 pounds. And obviously like the numbers in the weight room went up, which was good to see. But also I was utilizing a lot of the assets they have nutrition wise. We have a lot of cooking demos where they bring in chefs and you can come in and cook lots of different meats or fish or different stuff like that. So just trying to utilize all that we have. And also I definitely think putting on that weight contributed to that.
Sweet. And then what other access do you guys get just as players? Because I feel like USC football here in Columbia is primo. Is there any special privileges or things that you can speak to that you were just wowed by coming from high school to this level of D1 SEC football?
I think just our facility in general is out of this world. I mean, I think it's the best in the country. We have these sleep chambers where you lay in salt water and go to bed, and it's like 45 minutes of sleep is equal to like 3 hours or something like that. Obviously the training room, they have the hot and cold tubs, all that, the different stim, needling, cupping, all that. And then the nutrition, I think, we've had guys that transfer in and say that, we have stuff that no other place has in the country. So
that's awesome.
we have access to a lot of things that probably a lot of other schools or people would love to have. So we're definitely extremely grateful for that. And I think it's definitely helped our overall performance, especially since Coach Beamer came in. They've put so much more of an emphasis on getting your body right and dieting, and it showed on the field.
Wow,
That's great.
So your girlfriend is a athlete too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. What'd she do?
She plays beach and indoor volleyball.
Yeah. So when you guys walk around campus, people just stare at you guys.
not quite.
You guys own the hallway.
Randy
They part ways for you guys as you walk down the hallway.
No, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's been fun. I try to go and support her when I can. It's tough, especially now because she plays in the spring and fall. And so we practice in the fall and the spring. So I try to get out to the games whenever I can. But yeah, it's fun to get around and go around town when we can.
Yep. All right. Nice. And when you're out there, does she come watch all the games whenever she can?
When she can.
Yeah.
When she's in
Is there a special spot for girlfriends and spouses?
I don't know in general. She has a specific spot she tries to get to. She'll get there right when we go out to warm up. So she's there an hour and a half before the game, which I give her a lot of credit, especially later in the year when it gets cold. She's sitting out there. But yeah, she's got a specific spot she likes to get to.
It's it's a lucky spot for you.
Yeah, lucky spot.
Has anybody reached out to you to rig a football game? Not that you would. Not that you would, but if you heard of any of that where people are like, hey,
or you just completely missed the ball.
Kai, like get or fumble.
No, after the Clemson game, there was a few Clemson fans that said, why couldn't you have just shanked a few or stuff like that?
I got you.
But no, I haven't heard anything, at least on my end.
Because I wondered how dirty it gets. Have you heard of anything like that just in general, like guys in the locker room that get, and I'm not saying, I don't want anybody to feel accused or anything, but I wonder if there's a lot of pressure from the outside that's like that you guys have to protect your mental space and how you respond to even somebody that's like, hey, they send you DMs or whatever that says I need you to lose by 7 or whatever.
I haven't heard anything. When we're at the games, the fans at opposing stadiums, they're definitely brutal. And I mean, they'll look you up and find background information up. And I mean, they let you have it or they let you hear it. But
like with signs, or they're just standing.
They're
standing on the sidelines, like yelling personal information.
Yeah, our kicking net is pretty much right next to the student section in a lot of places. So I mean, we're 10 feet away from the student section, and they're just letting us have it all game.
Yeah, give me some of those. What are you hearing?
I can't say some of the things that they say specifically, but most of the time it's just saying how bad you are, or like, don't think about the next one, you're going to shank it, or stuff like that.
Right.
But they've brought up guys' girlfriends and family members, and it gets personal out there.
Photos, yeah.
Exactly.
Dang. When you hear a rooster crow, does your adrenaline just go through the roof?
For me, it's kind of like I get like an instant image of like being on the field with the crowd going crazy whenever I hear it. On a few days, they have like that siren that goes off. We hear it right next to our facility.
Right.
And it's just like that split-second image. I see that going on, and it gets me amped up. Yeah.
I was wondering, because literally like across the street here, there's a rooster. And as I was walking in today, like for this, I heard it. I was like, I feel like I'm at the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember your first punt? Like your college punt, I guess, like coming into college and then in front of that size crowd.
Yeah, it was.
What was that like?
It was against Tennessee during the COVID year, which obviously was a horrible thing. I think for me coming in as a freshman and playing, obviously it was intense with the spotlight, but it wasn't, 85,000 people. I think we had like 20,000 or whatever. But fortunately enough, I got to hit one of those like shorter end over end punts. So I hit I think it went to like the 10-yard line or so, but
nice.
I was happy I kind of got, smooth way into the game.
Get your first one out there.
Yeah.
Well, and speak to that too. How many different punts do you have in your repertoire? Like a spiral punt, an end over end, I guess you want to hit one high to run the clock or something. Like,
there's probably 4 or 5 that I'm comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
You have, obviously there's the traditional, just spiral, regular one.
Yep.
Then there's
that. Do you call that a nuke?
No, when I go for the nuke, I actually, which some of my punts, it was a good and bad thing. I hit a few punts that were not that high, not a lot of hang time, but they carried, 60 yards or so, which can be good, but also bad when it comes to not letting your guys get down the field.
Right.
And and you can spin it. So I'm assuming if you're kicking with your right foot, you can spin it right. Can you spin the ball the other direction?
Yeah. So I kick with my left foot actually.
So then you could kick it. Yeah. Can you spin it both directions?
I can't to the point where I could do it in the game. I could. It's kind of hit or miss whether it can happen. We try to play around with a bunch of different types of drops, but there's the banana punt where you just kind of turn it sideways and hit one side of the ball, and then it'll kind of form that banana shape as it travels. But
how do you still hit that straight?
Well, you're not trying to hit it straight.
Oh, you're trying to get like a...
So I'll aim, let's say, right, like to the right of the field, get the sideline, and then it'll curve back to the hash or so. So the returner is moving both ways.
Okay.
But we try to just do anything we can.
That's got to be so hard to catch too.
Yeah. We hit it to our returners when we're kicking to them, and they know it now. They ask for it, ask us to kick it to them.
Right.
You know?
What other ones that you can think of?
There's, like, for instance, those lower ones, some of the games where I've been backed up or there's been a wind. I'll lower my drop just a little bit because I'll know that I'll have to hit it, through that wind, or I need to hit it further. So when you lower it, it'll have more of that kind of penetrating, just direct ball flight. And then for maybe shorter punts where I'm not hitting those end over end, but I don't want to hit a full punt, I'll just kind of raise my drop a little bit and try to swing more up. So then the ball will just kind of go more up in the air, and it won't turn over, as we call it. It'll just kind of spiral and stay up and then just kind of drop in that 10-yard line range.
It's really wild, like talking to you, because the average Randy never watches football. He didn't even know. He thought you were a kicker, actually. He's like, oh, can't wait to talk about
I knew you were a punter, but I thought punters also kicked.
Most of the time it's combo.
But it's amazing to hear all these like different things that a punter has. Because literally, I was joking with Brett. I was like, what does his practice look like? He just comes in and kicks balls and like leaves. Would you say if you were to pick a person as the lowest pressure on the field, who would that be? The snapper, probably the long. Is the long snapper? Is there different a long snapper for punting and field goals?
Last year we had that. This year we have the same guy.
So the long snapper for punting, I feel like, is probably fairly low pressure.
Low pressure until, like, we put a lot of emphasis on covering downfield, and so our snapper plays a huge role in that.
Yeah.
He's like kind of responsible for setting like our formation that we call it.
Yeah.
So he definitely has some pressure, and obviously I'm not too picky about where I want the snap, but he knows that if he doesn't hit me, in my torso area, that could affect the punt.
Yeah.
Well.
And would you just, if he does a terrible snap, you just lose it on him?
Just get.
Fortunately, I haven't had that situation happen. We've had a few that have been, right at my feet, and I'll just kind of joke with them about it on the sideline. Just be like, "Did you really have to do that?" But I never get angry or anything. I feel like that's pointless.
Yeah.
Or they don't get mad, because sometimes you'll hear someone gets mad and then does a bad play or misses a block or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
Or like if I, get mad at him, then maybe next time he gives me a perfect snap and I hit a bad punt or something like that.
Right. Good point.
I don't want to jinx myself or anything.
Well, and what's interesting, I guess, with all these different punting techniques, it makes sense like why you could see a pro even like when you see a pro shank one, they're probably trying something that the average viewer's like, just you kick the ball straight down the field.
Yep.
But they're probably trying one of those bananas or something that
they could be. And also, like I said, Mother Nature could be. There's been a few games, especially this past year in Buffalo or Cleveland, where it's like 30 miles an hour and you pretty much have to kick it right out of your hand. And even then, you don't know what's going to happen. Right. But yeah, it's tough on those guys, definitely.
Yeah, I guess do you have a really long drop? Like, or when do you try to meet the ball from your hand?
So I try to have it to where when my foot hits the ball's even with my opposite knee, like my plant foot knee. That's kind of like a good general thing. But obviously, depending on the conditions or whatever, you can either hold on to it longer and hit it higher up, or lower it and hit it lower. Can you do a split? No, not yet. That's the goal.
That's what you're working on?
Yeah. I went to Pilates a little bit before the beginning of winter workouts.
Nice.
I'm going to start going to it again now. But that's definitely the goal. That'd be nice.
Yeah, it's hard.
So when you guys are let's say in the locker room afterwards, kind of give me some insight into the before, after locker room experience.
For games?
Yeah. Well, let's do both. So there's practices and games. Obviously, games are like the coaches are in there and you're getting hyped up. But then also practices. Is it, quarterbacks hang out, punters hang out, or is it like the 400-pound guys are all over here, lockers together, and then the kickers and punters are all together?
Yeah. So before practice, I don't actually know what goes on a lot with the other guys because we're let out about 25 minutes before everybody else so we can get our stuff on and start warming up.
You're let out of what? School?
Meetings. Because we practice in the morning. So
everyone's in meetings, then they send you out.
Yeah, we meet with Coach Lembo to kind of go over the schedule and anything we want to work on that day. And then he lets us out, like I said, about 20, 25 minutes before everyone is going to be out there so that we can get out and get warmed up and be ready for when practice starts. So I don't necessarily know the locker room before practice, but I know after the music's on full volume and everyone's dancing around. We kind of have different rows in our locker room. So, you have guys running. Some guys have scooters and they like scoot around and, just kind of do whatever.
Who gets to control the music?
What kind of a scooter?
Like those electric ones.
Really?
They have, they just like fly around the locker rooms.
Like the hoverboard thing.
Yeah.
Who gets to control the music? Like who sets that tone?
It's one of those like Sonos things that I think they just connect to it on their phone. So someone will be playing a song and then it'll just kind of stop for a second and then a different song comes on. And everyone then starts complaining about, let me control it.
Yeah.
I've never had the opportunity to control it, but that's probably fine because I might have different music tastes.
Yeah. Who are the craziest guys in the locker room or like your hype guys?
Ooh, hype guys. I love Juju McDowell, our running back. He's always has energy, always doing something funny. Xavier Leggett as well. Mm-hmm. I was next to him. He was my locker buddy or locker mate last year. So he always is doing something funny or
like pranks.
Yeah, or dancing. The guys love to dance. I mean, you could pretty much pick anyone and they're always dancing.
What kind of moves do you do? Do you have a special move that you do in the locker room?
No. But after some,
looking at you, I don't even know what your move would be.
Yeah, after some wins or something.
Twist.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. We act dumb after some wins and we'll like gritty or something stupid like that. And it just looks awful, but we won. So no one really cares.
No one cares. Right. What about line dancing? Do you know how to do that?
I don't. No.
Randy's a big line dancer.
I'm trying to learn. There's just a lot. It used to be that there was one line dance for all the songs. And now every single country song has a different line dance thing to it.
Do you guys have any big locker room policies? Like you can't have your phones out or anything like that? Like any restrictions?
Nothing. Obviously, the serious things like weapons or drugs or stuff like that. But no, it's pretty. We typically we don't like to. It's like frowned upon to take videos or stuff like that in the locker room. Coach Beamer doesn't like that to happen. Just we like to keep it. It's kind of like what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. And try to keep us everything that we do to ourselves and not let the whole outside world see what's going on.
Yeah, because I've seen sometimes like players will go live and then it usually doesn't go well. What people end up seeing.
Yeah, and somehow the coaches always find out about it.
Right.
And they'll bring it up, whether it's in position meetings or in the team meeting. And our director of player development, Demo, he always, he won't be afraid to call someone out or say, we don't do this, or he'll use examples from other schools, and just to show us what not to do and be smart.
Nice. Did you guys have any hate, like, and not necessarily hazing is the wrong term, but like things like karaoke or things that you, like, I know that some schools, they have you sing or do something when you're a freshman. Was there anything that you guys had to do?
So we have a rookie show, we call it.
Like a talent show?
Yeah, it is a talent show. Yes. And so you group up with, it's normally your position, anyone else that's in the class in your position, and we'll go in the indoor and everyone else will be sitting, coaches, players, personnel will be sitting in the chairs, and you'll be up in front with your position group doing, whatever you decide to do. Yeah. With the specialists, we have a hot dog eating contest, but it's one of those like foot-long chili dogs from Sonic. And so it's just kind of everyone gets up there and, first to eat it.
How many did you eat?
Well, it's just one, but it's like how fast you eat it.
You can eat that single one.
And then in the past, we've done like the guys get like a wacky haircut if you lose or something like that. But obviously it's, we don't force it upon anyone. Or
so in hockey, when you're the rookie, it's kind of expected that you have to go fight a few times. That's like how you get accepted by the guys. So if a rookie came in but wouldn't fight or refused to fight, then he wasn't like he didn't get kicked off the team, but you just knew like he's soft or he's not part of the team yet. Is there anything like that in football?
Not with fighting. If we fought, we'd get kicked out of practice.
Yeah, it might be different in football, but there might be something like a big hit or
obviously
I don't know. You have to bring coffee for a week or something.
The younger guys will definitely, go out there. I can remember even when I got here in summer workouts, my freshman year, I was trying to finish first, and so there'll be guys going extra hard in practice, and then the older vets are just kind of like, "What are you doing? This is annoying." But nothing specifically that I know of. The guys do where they'll like you said, get donuts or something like that. Yeah. I'm not sure.
Any goals for this upcoming season, like for you personally, that you're trying to hit, or metrics that you're working on?
So personally,
260 pounds, solid muscle.
right.
One leg, left leg.
I haven't
do the splits.
Yeah,
Already got into a couple
the splits. Yeah, I haven't really dove into that in too much detail. Obviously, I'd like to personally just all conference, all American, those kind of things. But I'd like to, increase my average. My goal would be to break the school record in punting average. Nice. I think right now I'm about a yard short. So that'd be the overall goal. But otherwise, obviously, it's just team related goals.
And you probably have academic goals as well. I'm assuming.
Yeah, I've obviously gotten a lot of support and been able to been on the AD honor roll a few times, and I'm trying to keep that up, obviously, because grades are the most important thing at the end of the day. As much as we may not like class or stuff like that, but that's definitely the most important.
Yeah, tell us about schoolwork. How does that work for a Division I athlete?
Yeah, so for us, we practice in the mornings, and so all of our classes are in the afternoons. All of our tutoring, study hall, all that stuff's in the afternoon. But fortunately, like I said, in the beginning, I had to go to all the study halls and tutoring. But since I've kind of established my maybe success in academics, or that I'm not a guy they have to worry about, they're not too strict with me. Obviously, we do weekly grade checks with our academic advisors and meet with those guys, every so often.
Is there a certain grade point average that you guys have to maintain to play? Or is it just like
I know there is a GPA requirement.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact number.
Okay.
I think
that's when you're good at school.
Yeah.
You don't even know what the minimum requirement is.
I think it's like a 2.3 or something. It's low. Or maybe like a 1.9 or something like that. I don't know exactly.
So it's funny. Like, I went to University of Pittsburgh, and Larry Fitzgerald was there when I was there.
Mm-hmm.
And he happened to be in my history of jazz class, but he was never there. So the guy would do roll call, and he would say Larry Fitzgerald, looking around, never there. So it made me think, are guys that are that elite, do they just put school aside completely in a way, or have somebody take their stuff, just I'm going to the NFL? What have you come across anything like that?
I haven't had any classes with maybe those big time guys, so I maybe don't know directly. I'm sure it goes on, but I don't have any firsthand accounts of that happening. And also some classes, some of the ones that I've been in, the teacher, or it varies what they require attendance wise. So some teachers say attendance is part of your grade. Some teachers say it's not a part of your grade, but I'd like you to be here. Or you have the online classes over Zoom or asynchronous, that kind of thing.
Nice.
But you're not just pulling the "Do you know who I am" card all the time.
No,
I couldn't pull that
card.
You should. You know what you should do? Just get we should brand you. Meaning, we should just get your face on everything. I'm the punter at USC. I'm a big deal. Everywhere you go, we just create this whole image for you.
That might create more enemies.
I think you should say, "Do you know who I am?" Look at my shirt, and look at my hat, and look at my socks.
Yeah, I'm a big deal on Saturdays. Billboard. Nice. Or do you plan on trying out for the NFL?
That's my goal. Obviously, I have 2 seasons left of eligibility,
nice.
So the plan would be to stay for both.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's always that chance maybe next year that the season goes perfect or something like that. But it would have to be, 100% you would get drafted for me to consider leaving. Right. Otherwise, I would definitely be here for both. But that is the end goal, definitely.
Nice. Yeah. Nice.
Have you done any chiropractic stuff, or I'm sure they have physical therapies? You kind of said some of that stuff.
Yeah, we have a chiropractor that comes in twice a week, I think.
Yeah.
So I'll go see him sometimes before the games. Also, when our kicker Mitch, his dad's a chiropractor, so
cool.
Their family's big into that, and he's adjusted us a few times. It definitely feels good.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Some of the neck stuff kind of freaks me out, but definitely feels good after. But yeah, we do some of the stuff with that.
Yeah, cool.
What's Mitch's mindset being around? I feel like a kicker's just got to be in his own world.
He's in games and when he goes to kick, it kind of reminds me of Tiger Woods in a golf tournament.
Yeah.
Just kind of he's not looking at anyone else. He's just all in, don't talk to him, that kind of thing.
Right.
And I've since we've been around each other now for a few years, I kind of know his tendencies and what helps him and what doesn't. So, I just kind of picked a spot out, and he's, laser focused the whole time.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. You don't go and talk to him essentially at all during the game.
No,
for the most part.
Really. It was when we had Parker White the last 2 years before Mitch. He was kind of more of a laid back. I would talk to him on the sideline. Maybe sometimes when we'd go out to kick, even say a comment or two. But that was just his personality. So it varies. I'm kind of like that laid back. I'm not, for me, it's just kind of preference and what works for you. So I've noticed that when I get too kind of, maybe not focused, but just like, I don't know, into it, or I'm not like staying, lighthearted and things, that I do worse actually. Mm-hmm. So obviously, when it's time to kick and I go out on the field, I'm focused. Yeah. But I try to kind of like take football out of the game when I'm not in there having to do what I have to do.
Yep.
If you weren't a punter, what position would you like to play?
I'll take away maybe special teams as a whole, because I'd probably say long snapper or something like that.
Yeah. Wide receiver.
That's what I played my senior year in high school. And I actually loved it. Maybe not the getting hit part, but making plays and actually helping was fun. Quarterback as well. Played that a little bit in high school. But I don't know. Yeah, it'd probably be receiver if I had to pick.
You just hate getting hit. Yeah. You said that a few times.
But it was weird because I played rugby as well throughout high school, and I actually loved playing rugby.
Really?
And so it was weird. I felt like when I would have to make a tackle or get hit in rugby, it wasn't as bad as in football. I feel like they tackle smarter in rugby, whereas in football, people have pads on and think they're indestructible and just kind of throw their body at you in any way possible.
And and they're huge too.
Yeah.
Like what's the biggest guy you've ever been hit by?
Ooh.
Like, do they ever do drills in practice where it's like,
here's this 350-pound guy.
No, not with us.
Go get the punter.
It was probably in high school in one of those rugby games. We played this team that had this massive Samoan dude. He had to be like 30. I mean, he had like those tattoos all up his shoulder and arm. But I mean, he had to be probably 280. And at that time, I was 140 maybe. Maybe 140. So, I mean, he's double my weight. And I had to try to tackle him. And so I just kind of laid there and he just ran me over. It's pretty embarrassing.
That's a lot of weight to put on in 5 years or whatever it's been.
Yeah.
You're 140 to, did you say 220 now?
Yeah, 220.
80 pounds of muscle.
Your family pretty thin?
Yes and no. It's kind of different. Like my mom and dad's side both have people that have been leaner. Typically my mom's side has had kind of the leaner, taller family. Mm-hmm. And it's weird because no one in my, at least immediate family or in the first few generations, have been tall. Yeah. So like my dad's 5'10", brother's 5'11", mom's 5'5", and I just kind of sprouted. And
you just got lucky. I have someone like that in my family too. Yep. Sam Jardine. Everybody in our family's not not even close to 6 feet, and he's 6'2" or 6'3".
Yeah.
But yeah, same thing. He plays pro hockey now.
Oh wow.
So at least you're making that. I feel good when someone who gets extra height makes the most of it.
Yeah. What's
frustrating is when someone gets extra height and they don't even appreciate it.
Yeah.
Like Brett.
They just kind of go.
Do you have a face mask preference? Like, do you have a particular way that you structure your face mask?
So we just call it the kicker face mask. Yeah. And it's just kind of like 2 bars at the bottom. And it's the one that gives you the most, I guess, space between the face mask and the helmet. Some of the other guys, especially like linemen and linebackers, I mean, pretty much their whole face is covered up.
Yeah.
But we need to see the ball maybe more so than other guys.
Gotcha. And then when you do punt one and there's a return, what's your strategy? Are you're even
back
thinking about tackling somebody, or just kind of like do you pretend to?
So my freshman year, I
just
you got to make it look. You got to make it look good for the crowd. I mean, and you don't have to admit this, I guess, but that's what I would kind of make it look like I'm going after this guy, but just missed.
Yeah. So my freshman year against Georgia, I'll remember it. I hit a good punt, but they've been really good on special teams, and we maybe weren't so that good that year, but the guy just took it right up the sideline, and it was just me and him. And so I was scared in the moment, but I was like, all right, let me make an effort. And luckily I just kind of like dropped and wrapped him up around his legs and tackled him.
Nice.
So I was 1 for 1 at that point. And then we played Texas A&M. This would be down 2 years ago, or I guess the 21 season.
Yeah.
And I hit a punt. It was one of those end over end short punts. He caught it at like the 4-yard line on the sideline. I don't know why he caught it, and ended up taking it, 96 yards or whatever.
Jeez.
But when he got to my level, he had like a blocker in front of him. So, I mean, he had like a linebacker guy
just
running at me.
Yeah.
And so I could have made a better effort. I probably should have. I tried to do some move but it was just bad, and they returned that. But I'm definitely, when I see him returning it, there's that moment where I'm like, please go down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
it's definitely scary.
Yeah, the receiver, I could see you taking him down, but some sort of block. I mean, that's a
full
whole
speed.
different world.
It's
Well, do return yards count against you? I was
they
wondering
do
about
for
that.
net punt, which is the most important part. So let's say I hit a 46-yard punt.
Yeah.
And they return it for 3 yards. It's a 43 net. So that's what they look at.
So they keep track of both of those statistics.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, nice.
So obviously that contributes. Then I can play a role in that because if I hit, a big hang time punt, they're not going to return it because our gunners will get down there.
Right.
Or if I hit it out of bounds, that eliminates it.
What can you get negative, like a negative net punt, like somebody returns one for a touchdown?
Yeah, we had a few of those just because like a few of those in the Texas A&M game. Actually, we had a few of them where the returner was catching it running backwards, and so then our gunners got down there and tackled him behind where he caught it.
Oh, nice.
So. And actually, the guy, Adam Korsak, who won the Ray Guy Award, he had negative return yards the whole season, which was like never been done before. So that was extremely impressive. Yeah.
Have you been approached to do any NIL deals? Has that been something cool since you've been in college, like that's now passed?
Yeah, it's definitely been cool, especially I was here before it started and now it's kind of picked up and it's a big thing now. I've been fortunate enough to have a few of those deals going on. But nothing, I mean, guys are getting cars and crazy things nowadays. So nothing like that, but I'm definitely extremely grateful. Yeah.
Can you talk about them at all?
Yeah. So I have one with, this special, clothing company that, provided me with kind of like a business casual outfit as well as like a dress up suit that I'm going to wear during the Gamecock walk. That one was really cool. I'm doing something with Carolina Power Equipment. I'm going to do like a little radio spot with them. So that's going to be really cool. Just kind of advertising the things they have.
How does that work? Does the college negotiate your NIL deals, or is it something that you can personally go and approach businesses? It's
a little bit of both. So for me, I've reached out to places and it's either worked or hasn't, or they just don't respond. Yeah. But also we have this company, Park Avenue, who works directly with us to kind of, they'll reach out to me, or Garnet Trust, that company as well. And they'll say, hey, this person from this company wants to work with you. What are your thoughts? That kind of thing. And they'll connect us through that party. And they're a great help, both Garnet Trust and Park Avenue. They've helped us a lot.
Do you have a dream NIL deal company? We can put them out here and hype it up, get them on board.
Nike.
Or an Under Armour school, so I'll stick with Under Armour.
That's right.
Honestly,
dress shoes or like hats or
golf. Are you a golfer?
Bank.
Get some
set of
golf clubs.
I have, yeah. Oh, that's something that that's coming up. I have Mizuno irons right now. And obviously I tried to reach out to, TaylorMade, Titleist, all them, but they only do work with pro players, it seemed. But Wilson Staff, they have, there's this driving range I go to, and the owner I'm good friends with, and he's good friends with one of the Wilson reps, one of the guys that does that. So I'm doing a deal with them to get a new set of irons, woods, and a staff bag as well. So
nice.
Really cool.
How often are you able to golf? Are you a lefty?
I'm right-handed, so okay. Golf ready. I try to golf on the weekends, maybe Saturday and Sunday, and then I try to go to the range maybe 4 days a week right now. I love golf. I'm obsessed with it.
What do you shoot?
If I went out and played, I'd probably shoot 80 to 82, 83 maybe.
Okay. Yeah, you're a player.
It's all right. Nothing crazy.
Do you want to tell a story about how you?
I guess
what your lowest score is. He was leading the whole thing. Was leading into him telling his best score. What courses do you play? Where do you like to go?
The usual course we play is Oak Hills Golf Club, but we can, depending on who we talk to. I've gotten some great connections now at Spring Valley or Wildwood, Columbia Country Club as well. We've played Wood Creek a few times.
Wood Creek's nice.
Yeah.
So. This shirt I won off of Randy actually this past weekend. He bought this for me.
Really?
It's a nice shirt too.
Yeah, it is nice.
Next time you go to Oak Hills, check out have you seen like all the ads that they have on the scorecard?
Oh, I do see them. Yeah.
Check them out. We're on there.
You are. I haven't paid much attention, but now
nobody ever does. We just didn't want to be funny. It's a good one.
Well, now I'll look. I'll probably go this weekend, so I'll let you know.
What else in your personal life? I know you said you don't like go out, you don't do anything like that. What do you do for fun?
Yeah, this is probably pretty high schoolish, but I play video games with my friends back home still.
Mm-hmm.
Call of Duty.
Not as much, maybe. No, I play Rainbow Six Siege or Madden, NBA, those kind of games. But I play video games. I like to fish a lot. I love fishing. And then obviously golf, or otherwise I'm just at home chilling or hanging out with my girlfriend, those things.
Yeah. And you said you're from Illinois?
Yeah, Chicago area. Yeah.
I feel like there's probably a lot of good video game players in the locker room. Do you guys ever have a big competition?
Yes, it actually more so is with Call of Duty, and who has like a PC or who's playing on controller. There's like a big deal with that.
Yeah.
One of my buddies, Jesse Sanders, one of our tight ends, he has probably like the most insane setup I've ever seen.
Really?
He's got like the glowing keyboard and like 2 or 3 monitors, something like that.
Really?
But he's like the best Fortnite and Call of Duty player I've probably ever seen.
Really?
And he's insane.
Talk to one of my last football questions was playbooks. Just the sheer amount of plays that I guess mainly the quarterback. How does one study that, memorize that, review that?
So I can only kind of relate it to when I was in high school and having to memorize.
Yeah.
Because in high school, we were all signals and kind of tempo.
Yes.
And we've been a lot of maybe signal offense and that kind of thing in college. So I'm not sure exactly how they do it, but how we did it. And I've seen some of the stuff they do where they kind of have like an install period where they have, I'll just say 10 plays or so. It's probably more than that. But, during this week, you need to learn these 10 plays, and these are the only plays we'll run in practice. And then you master those, then you move on to the next set. And I'm sure it's probably, times 10 here or something like that. But that's kind of the approach I've seen throughout.
Gotcha. And then how do you hike the ball? What's your call? Like are you the guy that does it, or is it the person in front of you?
So I have typically 2 kind of bigger guys in front of me.
Yep.
We call the shield and personal protector. And so
That's nice.
they'll make the call out loud, and then they'll say, whatever it is, set, clap, snap, something like that.
So you don't even have to say it. You just give them like a thumbs up, like you're ready.
Yeah, I just kind of stand there and
And the ball just comes to you and you just go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Who is the personal protector? Do you give him buy him lunch and
No.
slip?
I haven't.
Because that guy's a big deal.
Yeah.
Right? He's the guy
I'd walk around to bars with both of them and walking in front of me. You can
Right.
dress them up in black suits and earpieces.
I should. I've been thinking about something because I wanted to do that last
Yeah.
year, especially with our gunners, because they played a huge role in a lot of games. But I haven't known because, I'd like to do, you see some of these guys, like quarterbacks get their whole O-lineman, like
Right.
Rolexes. Obviously, I can't do that.
Right.
But I would like to do something like that. I still got to figure out what those guys like.
Yeah.
But I would like to do that for sure.
Has there been a time when someone just coming at you and you're like, oh, I'm just going to get crushed, and then the guy came out of nowhere and saved you?
Yeah, that happened a few times in our bowl game against Notre Dame. They had the most block punts out of anybody the whole season. And so we knew they were going to be aggressive. The first punt, they actually played safe, I think, because they knew we ran fakes and that kind of thing. But after that, they sent the house every single time. And there was a few times I'd punted and there was a guy, 2 yards in front of me. Or a few times where a guy came unblocked just because we didn't have the numbers. And, one of our shield guys reaches an arm out at the last second or that kind of thing to prevent a block. But
Love that.
Definitely.
What are some of those punt formations where they spread the whole field? And what's the point of those? Maybe give us some perspective on that.
Yeah, we haven't been an extremely kind of spread out team,
Yeah.
but I have seen one of those things you're talking about. I think it's more so to try to get as many people downfield to cover as possible, just to try to eliminate a return.
Gotcha.
Or it could be, they're looking at a look for a fake or something like that. But I assume it's probably for coverage purposes, just to throw the other team off.
And then you said you're about 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage when you catch the ball? Probably when you punt the ball?
I'm at 14 and a half when I catch the snap. So by the time I kick it, I'm around 10 yards.
Somewhere in there.
11 yards. Yeah.
Does it help? Do you have to be at that 14 and a half, or does it help you if you were 16 yards? Because I always wondered about that, to just prevent getting blocked at all. Wouldn't it be nice to just back up another 5 yards? The long snapper can get it to you, and then you have a little bit more time.
You could, but then I guess kind of the punts would be shorter than they would have.
Right.
And, I am moved back, but that snap still has to travel that distance. So maybe those guys are getting to me still.
Still timing, yeah.
So that's just kind of a number that we've picked out. It's kind of like with field goals. Some teams will be 7 yards behind the long snapper, 7.5, 8. It's just kind of like a preference thing, and that's kind of what we determined.
Gotcha. Nice.
And is there anyone that you think would be cool to have on our podcast too? I'm sure you have. I know you mentioned some of your really fun football buddies.
Ooh,
And they don't even have to be football, just athletes in general or someone.
I know Juice, our receiver, Juice Wells. He's a character. Those guys I mentioned definitely. Mitch definitely, because he wants to be a chiropractor.
Oh, really?
So that's kind of his
that'd be
career
cool.
path.
Oh, yeah, that
so
would be cool.
he would be someone great to talk with. Those are kind of the initial. Trying to think of
Okay.
personalities.
Nice.
Or,
Yeah, love
And then what's your favorite spot to hang out in Columbia, like restaurants and stuff like that, besides like golf and
well, my favorite restaurant is Hall's
Hall?
Chop
Yeah.
House.
yes.
I've only been there 2-3 times maybe, but
Yeah.
that's definitely my favorite. Otherwise, I'll usually be at Old Chicago in the Vista
Pizza.
or Chipotle. I like to go to a lot. Grill Marks as well. Those kind of restaurants.
Mhm.
I'm a big bar food kind of guy. So burgers, ribs, that kind of thing.
And then are you and you don't have to share I don't want you to share your address, obviously, but are you an on campus, like where you live, or do you have like a football house? Where you stay when?
So I live over in Rosewood near the stadium.
Yep.
So which has been really nice just because you're off campus enough where it's not too busy, but you're also, I'm like 5 minutes away from my class and
Gotcha.
then 2 minutes from the stadium and practice.
And that's still is that still considered campus or
No, it's off
not?
campus.
It's off campus.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
Cool. Well, we appreciate your time.
No, thank you
thanks
so
for being
much.
on here. This
Yeah,
is
this
fun.
is awesome.
Good stuff.
All
Thank
right,
y'all.
go check them out.
Here
We're here for the health of it.
for the health of it.